Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for joining in for our Krishna book study session today. Let's start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamaline Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangraye Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Devadeva Jagatpate Nanyam Tvadabhayam Pashe Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradhayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Dushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shivanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Dharalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkrpatamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanyam Ishwaram Harihi Om Tatsat. Ajanulambito Vajau Kanakavatato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kataro Vishwambaro Tujavaro Yugalarma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanaya Stadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachedupasana Vrajavadu Varge Navakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumarto Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatra Dharanapara Aidina Dayadranat He Mathuranath Kada Avalokya Se Hridayam Tvadaloka Kataram Daitya Brahmyati Kim Karomyaham. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much, devotees, for joining in for our Krishna book study. Yesterday we were, last week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we were discussing chapter number 73, 72, 73. So today we'll start with chapter number 74. So last time we were discussing about how Krishna helped Bhima to kill Jarasandha, right? the how the body of Jarasandha had to be thrown in the opposite direction so that the body does not join together. So in this way, Krishna helped to kill Jarasandha, and he was only a stumbling block in the performance of the Rajasuya Yajna, right? Because everyone else actually agreed to accept the supremacy of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So in this way, the Rajasuya Yajna is going to be performed, and the last stumbling block is also removed. Now, what is the next thing that's going to happen? Is the Rajasuya Yajna, right? And during the Rajasuya Yajna, there is also the deliverance of Shishupal that happens, right? So today we're going to continue with the study of chapter number 74, which is entitled Shishupala is delivered by Lord Sri Krishna. So let's continue reading chapter number 74. Everybody can switch on, switch on your cameras, of course, if possible. Raise your hands and then we can start reading. Okay, Sridhar Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Yeah.
Chapter 74, the deliverance of Shishupala. King Yudhishthira became very happy after hearing the details of Jarasandha's episode, and he spoke as follows. My dear Krishna, O eternal form of bliss and knowledge, all the exalted directions of the affairs of this material world, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and King Indra, are always eager to receive and carry out orders from you. And whenever they are fortunate enough to receive such orders, they immediately take them and keep them on their heads. Oh Krishna, you are unlimited, and although we sometimes think of ourselves as royal king and rulers of the world and become puffed up over our planetary position, we are very poor in heart. Actually, we are fit to be punished by you. But wonder is that instead of punishing us, you so kindly and mercifully accept our orders and carry them over properly. We are all very much surprised that your lordship can play the part of ordinary human being, but we can understand that you are performing these activities just like a dramatic artist. Your real position is always exalted, exactly like that of the sun, which always remain at the same temperature during both the time of his rising and the time of his setting. Although we feel the difference in temperature between the rising and setting sun, the temperature sun never changes. You are always transparently occupied, neither pleased nor disturbed by any condition of material affairs. You are the supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, and you there are no relatives. My dear Mahadeva, you never defeated by anyone. Material direction. This is to me, this is to you, and this is mine. This is yours. All the conspirators are done in their absence in you. Such distinctions are visible in the lives of everyone. Even the animal put pure devotees are free from this false destination. Since distinctions are absent in your devotees, you cannot possibly present in you. After satisfying Krishna in this way, King Yudhishthira arranged to perform Rajasuya sacrifice. He invited all the qualified Brahmanas and sages to take part and appointed them into different positions as priests in charge of the sacrificial arena. He invited the most expert Brahmanas and sages whose names are as follows. Krishna, Dvipayana, Vyasudeva, Bharatvaja, Sumanda, Gautama, Ashya, Vasishta, Chauna, Kanva, Maitreya, Kanvasa, Trida, Vishwamitra, Vamanadeva, Sumati, Jaimini, Kratu, Palya,
Parashara,
Garga, Vaisambayana, Adrava, Kaishyaba, Danunya, Parasurama, Sukracharya, Asuri, Vidhihotra, Mahasanchana, Vrisishana, and Agratavana. Besides all these Brahmanas and sages, he invited such acceptable old men as Dronacharya, Bhishma, the grandfather of Gurus, Kripacharya, and Dhritarashtra. He also invited all the sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhana, and also the great devotee of Vidura. kings from different parts of the world, along with their ministers and secretaries, were also invited to see the great sacrifice performed by King Yudhishthira. The citizens comprising the learning of Brahmanas, Brahmanas, chivalrous Kshatriyas, well-to-do Vaisyas, and faithful Sudras all visited the ceremony. The Brahmana priests and sages in charge of the sacrificial ceremony constructed the sacrificial arena as usual with the flow of good and gold, and they initiated King Yudhishthira as a performer of the great sacrifice in accordance with Vedic rituals. Long year earlier, when Varuna had performed a similar sacrifice, all the sacrificial utilities had been made of gold. Similarly, in the Rajasuya sacrifice, the king Yudhishthira, all the utilities required for the sacrifice were golden, present by the Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So we see here that the Rajasuya Yajna, to perform a Rajasuya Yajna is not easy, right? It's very, very difficult, right? First and foremost, all of the kings have to accept this person who's performing the Rajasuya Yajna as a superior to them, right? And they have to accept, take shelter of this particular king, right? And Yudhishthira Maharaj was such a wonderful king, right? That everybody accepted his supremacy, except of course Jarasandha, and Jarasandha was killed by Krishna, killed by Bhima under the guidance of Lord Sri Krishna. And then, so now there was no obstacle. So King Yudhishthira Maharaj is actually performing the Rajasuya Yajna. So in Rajasuya Yajna, you need to give an invitation to everybody to come and take part. And incidentally, Duryodhana also was invited, and Duryodhana was given the seva of receiving the gifts. Right? Already Duryodhana was very, very envious of the Pandavas. So for some reason, Yudhishthira Maharaj gave this job responsibility to Duryodhana. And apart from that, there were so many Brahmanas and sages. And of course, Bhishma Pitama was there, Kripacharya, Dhritarashtra, and all of them were there, along with Dronacharya, Vidura, and everybody was there. Right? Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, everybody was invited. And this, and who was the beneficiary of this particular Rajasuya Yajna? It was Lord Krishna himself. Right? So that would be declared. And then we are seeing in this chapter that King Shishupal also was there, along with the other kings who were specified here. And let's see what happens in this particular yajna, which is participated even by some of the demigods. Right? They also came to attend this yajna. So let's see what happened in this particular yajna. Okay. Okay, Karpagalli Mataji, go ahead. Present by the invitation of King Yudhishthira.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandatna.
Yes.
Present by the invitation of King Yudhishthira to participate in the great sacrifice were all the exalted Shiva and Indra and the King of Heaven, accompanied by their associates, as well as the predominating deities of the higher planetary systems, including Gandharvaloka, Siddhaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Nagaloka, Yakshaloka, Rakshasa, Charana, as well as the famous kings and their queens. All the respectable sages, kings, and the demigods who assembled there agreed unanimously that King Yudhishthira was quite competent to take the responsibility of performing the Rajasuya sacrifice. No one was in disagreement on this fact. Everyone thoroughly knew the position of King Yudhishthira because he was a great devotee of Lord Krishna. No accomplishment was extraordinary for him. The learned Brahmanas and priests saw to it that the sacrifice by Maharaja Yudhishthira was performed in exactly the same way as it had been by bygone ages by the demigod Varuna. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an arrangement for sacrifice, the members participating are offered the juice of the Soma point, which is a kind of life-giving beverage. On the day of extracting the Soma juice, King Yudhishthira very respectfully received the special priest who had been engaged to detect any mistake in the formalities of the sacrificial procedure. The idea is that the Vedic mantras must be enunciated perfectly and chanted with the proper accent. If the priests who are engaged in this business commit any mistake, the checker or referee priest immediately corrects the procedure, and thus the ritualistic performance are perfectly executed. Unless perfectly executed, a sacrifice cannot yield the desired result. In this age of Kali, There is no such learned Brahmana or priest available. Therefore, all such sacrifices are forbidden. The only sacrifice recommended in the Shastras is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Another important position is that the most exalted personality is the assembly of such sacrificial ceremony is first offered worship. After all arrangements were made for Yudhishthira's sacrifice, the next consideration was who should be worshipped first in the ceremony. This particular ceremony is called Agra Puja. Agra means first. The Puja means worship. This Agra Puja is similar to the election of a president. In the sacrificial assembly, all the members were very exalted. Some proposed to elect one person as the perfect candidate for accepting Agra Puja and others proposed someone else. When the matter remained undecided, Sagadeva began to speak in favor of Lord Krishna. He said, Lord Krishna, the best among the members of the Yadu dynasty and the protector of his devotees, is the most exalted personality in this assembly. Therefore, I think he should without any objection be offered the honor of being worshipped first. All the demigods such as Lord Brahma, Shiva, Indra, many other exalted personalities are present in this assembly. No one can equal to or greater than Krishna in terms of time, space, riches, strength, reputation, wisdom, renunciation, or any other consideration. Anything considered an opulence is fully present in Krishna. As an individual soul is the basic principle of growth of his material body, Krishna is the super soul of his cosmic manifestation. All Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, such as the performance of sacrifices, the offerings of oblation into the fire, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, and the practice of mystic yoga, are meant for realizing Krishna. Whether one follows the path of fruitive activities or the path of philosophical speculation, the ultimate destination is Krishna. All bona fide methods of self realization are meant for understanding Krishna. Ladies and gentlemen, it is superfluous to speak about Krishna because every one of you exalted personalities know the Supreme Brahman or Krishna, for whom there are no material differences between body and soul, between energy and the energetic, or between one part of the body or another. Everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. There is no qualitative difference between Krishna and all living entities. Everything is an emanation of Krishna's energy, material and spiritual. Krishna's energy are like the heat and light of fire. There is no difference between the qualities of heat and light and the fire itself. Also,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
can do anything he likes with. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mataji.
Um,
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Bol. Thank you so much, Karpaguli Mataji. Okay, so here we are able to see here that everybody unanimously agreed that Krishna should get the Agra Puja. Agra Puja means the first, the person who is the most elevated personality. Like Shukadeva Goswami was determined as the personality who can give the Bhagavatam class. The assembly of all the sages when Narada Muni was present, Vyasadeva himself was present, right? Who only gave the knowledge to Shukadeva Goswami. Yet, in that assembly, Shukadeva Goswami was considered unanimously declared that Shukadeva Goswami will recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Similarly, later on in the Naimisharanya forest, right, Shonaka Adi Rishis, they all decided that Sutta Goswami, who heard from Shukadeva Goswami, along with Parikshit Maharaj and other sages, right, they will be the one who was elected or who was unanimously selected to re-narrate the Srimad Bhagavatam. So like that, everybody unanimously agreed that although Brahma, Shiva and all the wonderful personalities are present there, right, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Ete chamcha kalapamsha, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Right, so Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and everybody agreed that the Agra Puja or the first worship has to be done towards Lord Sri Krishna. And here also Prabhupada makes a very important point of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. That means we are qualitatively one with the Lord because we are parts and parcels of the Lord. Just like the sparks of fire have the same quality of the fire. But the fire can burn down buildings, right? If there is recently in Los Angeles was a big fire, right? In some award studio, etc. They all got burnt, right? So that is the potential of the fire. It can cause great damage, right? The spark also has the same potential as that of the fire, but it does not have the potency to burn buildings or to burn studios, etc. Probably it can, a spark may create a dot on our hand, right? If there is a spark that falls, when we are cooking or something, when there's a, when we touch something by mistake, then, there might be a black spot on our hand. That indicates that, okay, a spark of the fire has actually touched us, right? It's not that it has no effect, right? Of course, for a minute, it pains very much. And then the impact is much, much lower than what a fire can create, right? If a fire breaks out, then the kind of impact that it has, right? Definitely it's is much, much higher than impact that's caused by a spark. But is there a difference between the fire and the spark? Not exactly, right? Because light and heat are both the characteristics of the fire as well as of that of the spark, right? But the intensity of the fire is definitely much, much higher than that of a spark. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very beautifully explained as a relationship between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Jiva, right? The Para-Brahman and the Brahman. Right? Brahman is a spirit soul who has the same characteristics as that of the Lord, Satchit Ananda, whereas the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unlimitedly Satchit and Ananda, whereas we are minuscule Satchit and Ananda, just like fire can create so much of impact, whereas in terms of quality, the heat and the light of the fire is the same as the heat and the light in a spark. Right? One is the impact is very huge, the other is very infinitesimal. So that is the relationship between the Supreme Lord and the Jiva Tattva. That's how it has been explained by Srila Prabhupada in this analogy. All right. Okay, so let's move ahead. Who's reading next? Okay, Chitra Krishna Sevni Mataji, go ahead. Also, Krishna can do anything he likes from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Also, Krishna can do anything he likes with any part of his body. We can execute a particular action with the help of a particular part of our body. But he can do anything and everything with any part of his body. And because his transcendental body is full of knowledge and bliss in eternity, he does not undergo the 6 kinds of material changes: birth, existence, growth, production, dwindling, and vanishing. Unforced by any external energy, he is the supreme cause of the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of everything that be. By the grace of Krishna only, everyone is engaged in the practice of religion, the development of economic conditions, the satisfaction of the senses, and ultimately the achievement of liberation from material bondage. These 4 principles of progressive life can be executed by the mercy of Krishna only. He should therefore be offered the first worship in this great sacrifice, and no one should disagree. Just as by watering the root of the tree, one automatically waters the branches, twigs, leaves, and flowers, or by supplying food to the stomach, one automatically nourishes all parts of the body. So by offering the first worship to Krishna, we shall satisfy everyone present in this meeting, including the great demigods. If anyone is charitably disposed, it will be very good for him to give charity only to Krishna, who is the super soul of everyone, regardless of his particular body or individual personality. Krishna is present as a super soul in every living being. And if we can satisfy him, then every living being will automatically be satisfied. Sayadeva was fortunate to know of the glories of Krishna, and after describing them in brief, he stopped speaking. After this speech, all the members present in the great sacrificial assembly applauded, confirming his words continuously by saying, "Everything you have said is completely perfect. Everything you have said is completely perfect." King Yudhishthira, after hearing the confirmation by all present, especially by the Brahmanas and learned sages, worshipped Lord Krishna according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. First of all, King Yudhishthira, along with his brothers, wives, children, other relatives, and ministers, washed the lotus feet of Krishna and sprinkled the water on their heads. After this, he offered Lord Krishna various kinds of yellow silken garments and presented heaps of jewelry and ornaments before him for his use. King Yudhishthira felt such ecstasy by honoring Krishna, his only lovable object, that tears glided down from his eyes. Tears glided from his eyes, and although he wanted to see Lord Krishna, he could not see him very well. When Lord Krishna was thus worshipped by King Yudhishthira, all the members present in the assembly stood up with folded hands and began to chant, "Jai, Jai, Namo, Namo." All joined together to offer their respectful obeisances to Krishna, and there were showers of flowers from the sky. In the meeting, King Shishupala was also present. He was an old enemy of Krishna for many reasons, especially because of Krishna's having stolen Rukmani from his intended marriage ceremony. Therefore, he could not tolerate such honoring of Krishna and glorification of his qualities. Instead of being happy to hear the glories of the Lord, he became very angry. When everyone offered respect to Krishna by standing up, Shishupala remained in his seat. But as he became angrier at Krishna being honored, he stood up suddenly, raised his hand, and spoke very strongly and fearlessly against Krishna in such a way that Lord Krishna could hear him distinctly. Ladies and gentlemen, I can appreciate now the statement of Vedas that, after all, time is the predominant factor. In spite of all the endeavors to the contrary, the time element executes its own plan without opposition. For example, one may try his best to live, but when the time for death comes, no one can check it. I see here that although many stalwart personalities are present in this assembly, the influence of time is so strong that they have been misled by the statement of a boy who has foolishly spoken about Krishna. Many learned sages and elderly persons are present, but still they have accepted the statement of a foolish boy. This means that by the influence of time, even the intelligence of such honored persons as those present in this meeting can be misdirected. I fully agree with the respectable persons present here that they are competent to select the personality who can be worshipped first. But I cannot agree with the statement of a boy like Sayadeva, who has spoken so highly about Krishna and has recommended that Krishna is fit to accept the first worship in the sacrifice. I can see that in this meeting there are many personalities who have undergone great austerity, who are highly learned, and who have performed many penances. By their knowledge and direction, they can deliver many persons who are suffering from the pangs of material existence. They are great rishis here whose knowledge has no bounds, as well as many self-realized persons and brahmanas also. And therefore, I think that one of them could have been selected for the first worship because they are worshipable even by the great demigods, kings, and emperors. I cannot understand how you have selected this coward boy Krishna and you have left aside all these great personalities. I think Krishna to be no better than a crow. How can he be fit to accept the first worship in this great sacrifice?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So this is where all the so-called demons, right, who don't accept the Lord, they have very great knowledge, right, or so they pose, right? Because if Shishupal understood that all these sages and the brahmanas and the demigods who are all present are indeed so intelligent, they've all accepted Sadeva's statement that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and he is present as a super soul in every living entity. And some Siddhar Haritoshanam is the perfection is to actually accept Krishna's getting the Agra Puja, right, the first worship. But see, although he is speaking, like it is the same as what Krishna told Arjuna, right? Ashochan annu sochastam pragyavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasumscha nanu shochanti panditaha. Right? Krishna told this to Arjuna once Arjuna surrendered. Right? Otherwise, Krishna does not even correct Shishupal. Right? If you see, Krishna did not correct Arjuna also. Right? That is the free will that Krishna has given all of us. Krishna will not interfere with the free will of all of us. We have the liberty to decide what we want to do, and we can live our life, right? But we are bound with this law of karma, right? Whatever decisions we take, whatever actions we perform, whatever desires we have, according to that, we will get a suitable and appropriate reaction, right? If we do some pious activities, then we will get some pious credits for it. If we do some sinful activities, then we will get some sinful reactions for it, right? So like that, but what does Krishna say? Krishna says, the one who performs pious activities as well as one who performs sinful activities, they are both doing the wrong thing. Why? Because whether you need to enjoy or you need to suffer, you need to have this material body. If you have this material body, there cannot be unlimited happiness. There has to be so-called happiness, which is interspersed with so-called perceived happiness and misery, right? Otherwise, this world is dukhalayam. Always we get misery, and when misery goes away a little bit, then what is it? Then what we get is happiness. That's what we define as happiness, right? That's why it's called happiness is only perceived in this material world as the absence of happiness is perceived as the absence of misery. There cannot be happiness in this world because the person who's created this material world, he himself is told that there can be not be any happiness in this world, right? The other day we were discussing. In Pustakhalayam, you will get Pustak, right? In Dukhalayam, you will get Dukha, right? Ashashvatam Dukhalayam. That is how this material world has been branded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why is it that we are thinking that we will get Sukha in this Dukhalayam? Because we are illusioned by our mind, right? Krishna says, what is that? Krishna says, by my Yoga Maya, I cover those who think that they are very learned, right? If you have learned all the wrong things, then we need to unlearn everything. Only then we can learn the right things, right? That is why it is best to learn afresh only from a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, it takes so much time to unlearn all the nonsensical things that we've learned, and then to learn the proper things from a bona fide spiritual master. Hence, it is very, very important that we learn the proper things. Otherwise, we think we are very learned, right? In South India, we find many people, right? They are all by-hearted, all the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, right? They think they know everything, right? That's why even when Prabhupada was preaching in India, everybody thought, oh, who are you to tell me who is Krishna? I know Krishna, right? So when our cup is full, then we don't understand that we don't know anything or we've got wrong knowledge, right? That's why Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Cheva Svakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha, right? If you have transcendental knowledge, if you've received proper transcendental knowledge in a proper parampara, then as much as Vidya that we have, we should also have Vinaya. Vinaya means humility. If you don't have humility, if the knowledge is so much preceding our false ego, that makes our false ego so much so that we think I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, I can do things on my own, I am independent of the Lord. Then Krishna himself says, right? Vedaischa sarve rahameva vedyo. That means if you've not understood that Krishna is the ultimate controller, enjoyer, and the proprietor of everything, right? Then all the study of the Vedas by a person, if it does not arrive at the right conclusion, then it becomes Shrama Evahi Kevalam, right? Samsiddhir Haridoshanam. If everything is performed for the pleasure of the Lord, and that is the conclusion of the Shastras, we need to understand who Krishna is, and we need to understand how to please Krishna by following the instructions of the Guru. That's what Krishna says. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. You will get transcendental knowledge by approaching a bona fide spiritual master who will actually establish our sambandha with Krishna, who will actually tell us what is the process by which we can reawaken our love for Krishna, and who actually helps us attain the prayojana, which is Krishna Prema. But we don't want to understand these things from our spiritual master. We think we can study the scriptures on our own, and we will be able to attain the conclusions of the Vedas simply by studying. Then we are fools, right? Just because a foolish person, I was hearing a devotee's class, was just saying, in a mental hospital, right? A person was shouting, right? I am the prime minister, I am the prime minister, I am the prime minister, like that, right? And the person, he was just brought in to visit. So he was saying, why is this person shouting, I am the prime minister, I am the prime minister, like that, right? So what did he say is, everybody thinks that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, right? When we understand, but we are forced to believe, right, that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer, then we are put into frustration. Then that is actually madness, right? When the constable actually thinks that I am the inspector or I am the commissioner, then he is actually supposed to be mad. From that context, all of us are mad. Why? Because we all think I am the controller of my life, right? We are controllers, but what is it that we can control? As much as we can control is what vegetable I want to cook today, what dress I want to wear today, which vehicle I want to take an auto or I want to take an Ola to go somewhere, right? That is as much control that we can exercise. But because of this little control, what do we think? Oh, I can control my destiny. I can do whatever I want, right? We don't understand that as when we go, it's a normal scenario. We go out, we take an auto and we go to the temple, right? We think we are the controller. I have decided I will go to the temple. I have booked an auto. I am paying the money. I am going to the temple. But then what happens if there is a strike on a particular day? Then we understand that I'm not getting an auto. Although I want to go to the temple, and this day is no different from any other day. Every day I do this, but today I'm not able to go. Then there is a higher force which is actually sanctioning whether I can even go to the temple, whether I can even get an auto, whether I can even talk, whether I can even walk down, whether my health is permitting me to walk down. So there is a higher force, the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is preeminent in everything that we do. Right? As they say, not even a blade of grass moves without the Lord. Right? As Jiva, we can desire, but it has to be sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. And then it is actually performed by Prakriti. Prakrite kriyamanani gune karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. We think that we are the doer, we are the enjoyer, we are the controller. Why? Because ahankara vimudhatma. We are mudha because we are illusioned by Maya. We think we are foolish. We are foolish enough to think that kartaham iti manyate. I am the karta. I am the doer. But who is actually the doer? The actual doer is Prakriti kriyamanani. Prakriti is doing all the actions. But Prakriti is also not an independent doer. Why? Because Prakriti is under the control of the Lord. Right? Prakriti is the energy of the Lord. Just as we are marginal energies of the Lord, Prakriti is the inferior energy of the Lord. And Prakriti is actually arranging for all the circumstances for the actions to be done based on the sanction by the Lord. So out of the three doers, the Jiva who is desiring, Prakriti who is actually executing, and the Supreme Lord who is sanctioning. Right? Who is powerful? Of course, it is the Lord whose sanction is most important, right? Otherwise, we are all like mad people trying to do so many things and they are getting frustrated time and again. Just like this person at the mental hospital is shouting, I am the Prime Minister. Why have you, sometimes it becomes so much that they tie him down to the court. Otherwise, runs around, causes damage to others, right? So like that, depending on our extent of madness, right? We are given a body, right, of either a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, depending on our type of madness, right? If you're at least satisfied and content with whatever we've got and utilize everything in the service of the Lord, etc., then we are at least getting the opportunity in a Brahminical family. But if we misutilize the human form of life, then we will be thrown into bodies where we will have no independence, right? Where is independence in the body of a lion or in the body of a tiger or in the body of a cat or a dog, right? Even they think that I am very independent, I am very powerful. Whatever I want, I can go and catch and eat. But is that real control, right? The real control, like Prabhupada says, the real control is when we are able to exercise or get a solution for the real problems of life. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Otherwise, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. Even animals can get it even without much of an endeavor. Right? We do so much of endeavor for planning our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Yet the animals, in the lecture, the elephant eats so much. It gets so much from the forests. Right? It can get as much quantity as it wants to eat. Right? We are working so hard for our eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And if that is the only thing that we are doing, then we are degrading our consciousness to becoming animals. So we should come out of this madness and understand that Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suradam Sarvabhutanam Nyatvanam Shanti Mrichati. Right? So once we understand that Krishna is the supreme CEO, Krishna is the supreme controller, Krishna supreme enjoyer, Krishna is the supreme owner of everything, then we come out of this madness condition, right? So Shishupal is currently gone mad, right? Shishupal is trying to think that, he's speaking learned words. Oh, there are all so many Brahmanas and so many sages and so many demigods. Right? If he really thought that they were really intelligent, right, would they not obstruct or would they not object that this Sahadeva is a small boy? He is also not a small boy actually, right? So he is telling that Krishna is the supreme personality of God and he should be getting the first worship, right? If all the others were intelligent, very intelligent, and is accepted by Shishupal, why would he question their decision to accept Krishna to get the Agra Puja, right? So in this way, Shishupal has become mad. He has no discretion, and what is he talking is complete nonsense. Right? He's thinking that they are all wonderful people. They can liberate all the people from this material world, but he's still not accepting their decision. So this is a sign of madness, where we have some thought in the mind, but we are speaking something else, right? So this is what is a madness that we need to avoid. And how do we avoid this kind of madness? How do we come out of this kind of madness? Right? Simply by surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master. And two things are given, Pariprashnena and Sevaya. Like we were attending the book distribution program in ISKCON Mira Road. So Kamalochan Prabhu, the temple president, was saying, even before Pariprashnena, what is more important is Sevaya. Right? Only when we do service, then we can actually get the correct answers to our questions. If you are questioning with a challenging mood, then we will not get the correct answer. Why? Because our false ego is playing such an important role, right? That we are challenging. Like here, he's saying, oh, anybody, any of these brahmanas or the Brahma or Shiva or all the demigods, anyone could become the first receiver of the worship, but not Krishna. He is just a, he's just a person born in the Yadukula, right? How can he become, the master of ceremonies, right? He cannot. So like that, so we may think we are very intelligent, but as long as we don't have the seva, pariprashnena sevaya. So he was saying, sevaya comes even before pariprashnena. So we have to develop the service attitude, and then we have to question in a humble mood, with the intention of how can I apply these principles in my life. If that is the intention in which we are doing seva and then pariprashnena, then we will get the real knowledge which we can apply in our lives and attain the desired destination. Otherwise, we will do puna puna charvita charvananam. We can read the scriptures thousands of times. We can reiterate to ourselves that I am the most intelligent person, but we will still be in the diseased condition of life. We will be getting into more and more madness. The more we are studying the scriptures, the more it will increase our false ego, the more we will think I am the controller, and it will only increase our madness. So we need to first develop humility. Ask a spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, what is it that I need to understand? How do I need to apply the Sambandha, Abhidaya and Prayojana Gyan in my life? And there begins the our journey of spiritual life. Until then, whatever studies we have done, all that is going to increase our false ego. It is all going to increase our madness. Just like Shishupal, very learned person. It is just increasing his madness where he's going to blaspheme Lord Shri Krishna 100 times. Right? So the more the knowledge, the more the false ego, the more the aparad that we are committing. It's very, very important to understand our position as a servant of the Lord and cultivate qualities that can help us advance in spiritual life. Right? That's what is here. Okay. Anyone else who is not read wants to read? All right, let me continue. We cannot even ascertain which caste Krishna belongs, right? Shishupal is continuing to say this. Okay, Archana Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Pranam. We cannot even ascertain which caste this Krishna belongs to or what his actual occupational duty is. Actually, Krishna does not belong to any caste, nor does he have to perform any occupational duty. It is stated in the Vedas that the Supreme Lord has nothing to do as his prescribed duty. Whatever has to be done on his behalf is executed by his different energies. Shishupala continued, Krishna does not belong to high family. He is so independent that no one knows his principles of religious life. Indeed, it appears that he is outside the jurisdiction of all religious principles. He always acts independently, not caring for the Vedic injunctions and regulative principles. Therefore, he is devoid of all good qualities. Shishupala indirectly praised Krishna by saying that he is not within the jurisdiction of Vedic injunctions. This is true because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that he has no good qualities, gunai hina, means that Krishna has no material qualities, and because he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, he acts independently, not caring for conventions in social or religious principles. Shishupala continued, under these circumstances, how can he be fit to accept the first worship in the sacrifice? Krishna is so foolish that he has left Madura, which is inhabited by highly elevated persons following the Vedic culture, and has taken shelter in the ocean, where there is not even talk of the Vedas. Instead of living openly, he had constructed a fort within the water and is living in a palace where there is no discussion of Vedic knowledge. And whenever he comes out of the fort, he simply harasses the citizens like a dacoit, thief, or rogue. Ishpala went crazy because of Krishna's being elected the supreme, first worshipped person in that meeting, and he spoke so irresponsibly that it appeared he had lost all his good fortune. Being overcast with misfortune, Shishupala continued to insult Krishna, and Lord Krishna patiently heard him without protest. Just as a lion does not care when a flock of jackals howl, Lord Krishna remained silent and unprovoked. Krishna did not reply to even a single accusation made by Sisipala, But all the members present in the meeting, except for a few who agreed with Shishupala, were much agitated, very much agitated, because it is the duty of any respectable person not to tolerate blasphemy against God or his devotee. Some of them who thought that they could not properly take action against Shishupala left the assembly in protest, covering their ears with their hands in order not to hear further accusations. Thus, they left the meeting condemning the action of Shishupala. It is the Vedic injunction that whenever there is blasphemy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must immediately leave. If he does not do so, he becomes bereft of his pious activities and is degraded to a lower condition of life. All the, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam. All right. So I was just wanting to discuss this point. It's very, very important, right? Where there is blasphemy of the Lord, then there are three things that we can do. The first thing that we should do is we should be, if we have the proper shastric knowledge and if we have the right influence, then we should be able to counter, argue, and defeat the person who is actually blaspheming the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the first duty of a person, right? If he is so situated in a power of influence and he has the right knowledge, then that is what a person is to do. But if the person has got, has faith in the Lord, right? Basically, Uttam Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Kanishta Adhikari, right? Kanishta Adhikari, the faith is komal, the faith is not much. That means he has faith in the Lord, but he does not have so much of shastric knowledge that he can defeat a person. His faith itself will dagmaga, right? His faith itself will shake if he hears blasphemy, right? If he hears 5 times that, we can pray to the Devatas also will get the same result as that of Krishna. 5 times he hears it from 5 people, then he will also think, oh, maybe what they are saying is true. 5 people are saying, it's like a donkey story, right? A man bought a donkey from the market. So, a man and his son, they climbed on the donkey and they were going. And then somebody said, Hare, such heartless people, 2 people are sitting on top of the donkey. And then what did they do? Okay, they both got down and then they walked with the donkey. And somebody else said, Hare, such a foolish person, they have a donkey. Why both of them are walking? And then what happened? Okay, the man said, okay, let me. And then another person said, so look at that man, how he is making his son walk along, and he is only sitting and enjoying on the donkey. And then, okay, the man thought, okay, maybe it's a very bad thing what I'm doing. And what he said, okay, he made the son sit on the donkey and he started walking. Another person said, oh, look at this boy. He's making his old father walk like this and he himself is sitting on the donkey. And then what did they do? Both of them carried the donkey on each and on both their shoulders, right, on either side. And they were walking. And somebody said, see, such a foolish people. They bought a donkey and they are carrying a donkey on their back. And then what did they do? They just threw the donkey on the street and ran away. Right? So like that, if we don't have proper understanding and knowledge, we will be worrying about what each and everybody is saying. Right? So, the Acharyas explained, we are not bothered about each and everybody's opinion. Right? We are so clearly fixed in the Shastras, we got this knowledge from our gurus, so much so that we are very clear. Either we know, at least we have the discrimination that in this place, if I talk, will I be able to win or not? Right? Will I be able to convey my point or not? Otherwise, let me leave this place. At least that much gyan we have. Right? When we read Prabhupada's books, we are able to quote from Srila Prabhupada's books or from Bhagavad Gita. Very good. We should do that. But if we ourselves are in a state where we will get confused if we hear 5 people say 5 different things, what we should do? We should simply quietly leave the place and we should go and tell our seniors about it. So this is the confusion and there is a discussion going on. I do not have the knowledge to be able to take part in the discussion and give the right understanding. Although I have the right understanding, I don't have the ability to be able to convince others of it. Right? Then the seniors will take care. At least that much we should do. Right? And the third thing that is always like one should actually die at that place. Right? But the best option that is given, we cannot take our own life. Right? Why? Because this body has been given to us by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are not the owner of this body. We are simply the caretaker of this body as much as we are the caretaker of the speaker or this laptop. Right? Everything. Because I am a jiva. I am a soul. Right? This body has been assigned to me according to my past desires to perfect my life and go back home, back to Godhead. Just as this laptop has been assigned to me, and I can utilize this laptop the way I want during this period of my being the caretaker of this laptop or the speaker or whatever may be, right? Similarly, I'm the caretaker of this body, and this body is meant to help me elevate myself to become a pure devotee of the Lord. I cannot take this body. I cannot kill myself. I cannot cause a damage to my body. I have to protect this body, because this body is the vehicle by which I can attain the desired success of Krishna Prema. I can do service to the Lord only when I have this body, isn't it? So I cannot take this body. I cannot by my scriptural study, I'm not confident enough to face this and defeat them in an argument. The best thing is to simply leave. That's what some people did here, right? When Shishupal was blaspheming the Lord, what did some people do? They could not hear the Lord. They just closed their ears and simply they left, right? So this is the option that we should choose when we know that I am not qualified enough, or I am not confident enough to be able to take up the subject matter and defeat, right? So that is very, very important, that we don't hear blasphemy. Otherwise, like the donkey and the man and the boy, we will also arrive at the wrong conclusion just because some 5 idiots told something. Then we will take, their conclusion is only right, because there is differing opinions, right? In such a case, we should leave. If we are confused, we should ask our senior devotees, and we should get clarity in the first place, and they will be able to do the necessary things, right? We don't have to fight battles that we are not aware of. At the same time, we should not become a victim of such kind of battles. We should know when to exit, right? At the same time, we should this discrimination comes when we are studying shastras, right? We need not be experts in everything, but we should know what we should do under circumstances. When we don't know, we should take guidance from our senior devotees, and we should simply exit from that particular platform. So this is a very important lesson that we need to learn like that. Okay, Leelendra Mataji already read. Okay, Rajneesh Prabhu, go ahead. All the kings present belonging to the Kuru dynasty from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Sir, it will take about 10 minutes more. Please, who want to the program, please feel free to log out. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
All the kings present belonging to Kuru dynasty, Matsya dynasty, Kakya dynasty, and Shiranya dynasty were very angry and immediately took up their swords and shields to kill Shishupal, who was so foolish that he was not even slightly agitated. Although all the kings present were ready to kill him, Shishupal did not care to think of the pros and cons of his foolish talking, and instead of stopping when he saw that all the kings were ready to kill him, he stood to fight with them and took up his sword and shield. When Lord Krishna saw that they were going to fight in the arena of the auspicious Rasya Yajna, he personally pacified them. Out of his causeless mercy, he himself decided to kill Shishupal. When Shishupal was abusing the kings who were about to attack him, Lord Krishna took up his disc, as sharp as the blade of a razor, and immediately separated Shishupal's head from his body. When Shishupal was thus killed, a great roar and howl went up from the crowd. Taking advantage of that disturbance, the few kings who were supporters of Shishupal quickly left the assembly out of fear for their lives. Then the fortunate Shishupal's spirit soul immediately merged into the body of Lord Krishna in the presence of all, exactly as a meteor, burning meteor falls to the surface of the globe. The merging of Shishupal's soul into the transcendental body of Krishna reminds us of the story of Jaya and Vijaya, who fell to the material world from Vaikuntha planets upon being cursed by the 4 Kumaras. For their return to the Vaikuntha world, it was arranged that both Jaya and Vijaya, for 3 consecutive births, would act as deadly enemies of the Lord, and that at the end of these lives they would return to the Vaikuntha world and serve the Lord as his associates. Although
Hare Krishna.
Shishupal Hare Krishna.
Mataji is not read. Okay, fine. So you can read next. So what I was saying here, is Shishupala is also fortunate to be killed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna himself. And that's the reason we all know Shishupala and Dantavakra, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu and Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Right? These were they actually took 3 birds as demons when Jaya and Vijay were actually cursed by Sanat Kumaras. Right? So the Lord actually enjoys his Virya ras, or he wants to fight, or he has any kind of rasa only with his devotees. Right? Otherwise, Kamsa and all, he just, in Krishna book, Prabhupada says, he just slapped behind the ear and Kamsa was dead. Right? But with Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu and all, we see how Lord Sri Krishna fought so much. And, and with Jambavan, in Krishna book also we saw in the last couple of chapters, right? For the Samantaka jewel, right? Krishna fought with Jambavan for 28 days, right? So Krishna also enjoys only with his devotees whenever he wants to enjoy Virya ras also. So not anybody can qualify to become, even fight with the Lord, right? For that also you need some kind of qualification like that. So Shishupal is indeed fortunate to be killed by the Supreme Lord, and he went back to Vaikuntha after having completed the 3 janmas as demons. All right. Leelanandini Mataji, go ahead, and then Deval Mataji can read and we complete. Yes. Go ahead, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Madhadandat Pranam. Although Shishupala acted as the enemy of Krishna, he was not for a single moment out of Krishna consciousness. He was always absorbed in thought of Krishna, and thus he first got the salvation of Sayajya Mukti, merging into the existence of the Supreme, and was finally reinstated in his original position of personal service. The Bhagavad Gita corroborates the fact that one who is absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Lord at the time of death immediately enters the kingdom of God after quitting his material body. After the salvation of Shishupala, King Yudhishthira rewarded all the members present in the sacrificial assembly. He generously remunerated the priests and learned sages for their engagement in the execution of the sacrifice, and after performing all this routine work, he took his bath. The bath at the end of the sacrifice is also technical. It is called the Avabrada bath. Lord Krishna thus enabled the performance of Rajasuya Yajna arranged by King Yudhishthira to be successfully completed, and being requested by his cousins and relatives, he remained in Hastinapura for a few months more. Although King Yudhishthira and his brothers were unwilling to have Lord Krishna leave Hastinapura, Krishna arranged to take permission from the king to return to Dwaraka, and thus he returned home along with his queens and ministers. The story of the fall of Jaya and Vijaya from the Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Oh, Hare Krishna. So we see here that Lord Sri Krishna is always unattached in all the situations. Right? Whenever there is some work that the Lord needs to do, right? The Lord performs that work, and immediately what does the Lord do? The Lord immediately goes back, right, to wherever his duty is there, right? He's a king, right? He has to execute his administrative duties in Dwaraka, right? That's why although Yudhishthira Maharaj, even earlier in Hastinapura, right, when he had to come there, he saved. That's going to happen later on, right? Although this is not in the sequence, right? So various situations we see, even in Vrindavan, right? When Krishna was in Vrindavan, he was the gopis did not want Krishna to leave, but of course, what did Krishna say? I will definitely come back after performing my duties at Mathura, right? And even when Kubja, the prostitute also, like she offered sandalwood paste to Lord Sri Krishna, and please Lord Sri Krishna. At that time when Kubja invited Lord Sri Krishna to her home also, Krishna told, I have my duties to perform. I will perform my duties, right? I have to kill Kamsa and other things are pending. I will do that, and then I will come back to you. So in this way we see that Krishna also performs his own duties, and Krishna is not attached to any kind of situation. Just because he is receiving the Agra Puja, he is the beneficiary of that particular sacrifice. It's not that Krishna wanted to eternally stay there and continue to enjoy, right? So Krishna immediately wanted to go back to Dwaraka after his service here, right, of performing this Rajasuya Yajna is complete. Krishna immediately wanted to go back to Dwaraka. So in this way we see yad acharati shreshtas tattad evi tarojana sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. Krishna also immediately he wanted to resume performing his duty like that. So that is what the Lord is setting up an example by his own sadachar, by his own behavior like that. Okay, Deval Mataji, go ahead. We'll just complete this chapter in about 5 minutes. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvatpranam. The story of the fall of Jaya and Vijaya from the Vaikuntha planets to the material world is described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The killing of Shishupal has a direct link with that narration of Jaya and Vijaya, but the most important instruction we get from this incident is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being absolute, can give salvation to everyone, whether one acts as his enemy or as his friend. It is therefore a misconception that the Lord acts with someone in relationship of friend and with someone else in the relationship of enemy. His being an enemy or friend is always on the absolute platform. There is no material distinction. After King Yudhishthira took his bath at the conclusion of the sacrifice and stood in the midst of all the learned sages and brahmanas, he seemed exactly like the king of heaven and thus looked very beautiful. King Yudhishthira generously rewarded all the demigods who participated in the yajna, and being greatly satisfied, all of them left, praising the king's activities and glorifying Lord Krishna. When Shukdev Goswami narrated these incidents of Krishna's killing Shishupal and described the successful execution of the Rajasuya Yagna by Yudhishthir Maharaj, he also pointed out that after the successful termination of the Yagna, only one person was unhappy. He was Duryodhana. Duryodhana by nature was very envious because of his sinful life, and he appeared in the dynasty of the Kurus like a chronic disease personified to destroy the whole family. Shukdev Goswami assured Maharaja Parikshit that the pastimes of Lord Krishna, the killing of Shishupala and Jarasan, and the releasing of the imprisoned kings are all transcendental vibrations, and that anyone who hears these narrations from authorized persons will immediately be freed from all the reactions of the sinful activities of his life. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the 74th chapter of Krishna, the deliverance of Shishupala. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
हरिणे नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णभक्ताय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे देवी शून्यवादी त्यादिशोधादिने दय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्या प्रभो नित्यानन्दा प्रिय गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरा भक्तवृन्दा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गौरनिताय हे जगन्नाथ हे बलदेव जय जय सुभद्रा जय हे सुदर्शन जय बाल गोपाल जय विठल जय राधा कृष्ण जय राधा माधव राधा दास बिहारी राधा राम सुंदर श्री राधे जय गोस्वामी जय गुरु परंपरा जय प्रभु पाठा जय गुरुदेवा नित्य हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All right, sorry I was on mute. So I was just saying that So tomorrow morning, we will meet at 5 o'clock for our Brahma chanting session, and then we'll meet at 1 p.m. To continue with our Krishna book study. So please do join us at 1 p.m. Indian Standard Time and at 5 a.m. Indian Standard Time for Krishna book study and Brahma chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, respectively. Thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.